Welcome to Spread Love in Organizations, the healthcare leadership podcast where we explore leadership with purpose. This is a special episode, the first of a series in partnership with Biosciences Lebanese International Network, BioLink. This New York-based nonprofit is on a mission to build a global community of professionals in biosciences of Lebanese origin, like me, and it turns out there's quite a few of us. Most interestingly, it has set a bold vision, which is to catalyze a life sciences ecosystem in Lebanon by working with local talent and academic centers with the support of the Lebanese community. This is an ambitious goal, but BioLink.org's founders, Dr. François Nader and Khalil Barrage, are some of the most accomplished people in the industry, and if anyone can put it off, they can. I'm thrilled to have them with me today. Francois is a pharma veteran who sits on the board of several biopharma companies. He is chairman of Gene1E Life Sciences and a board director of Moderna and Ring Therapeutics, as well as a senior advisor to Blackstone Life Sciences. Francois became well known within the industry when he took the helm of NPS Pharma in 2006. The company was then on the verge of insolvency. Francois turned it around and sold it less than a decade later for more than $5 billion to Shire. Khalil is a managing director at the Invest Group, a New York-based global investment firm. He established the public equity group, which invests in emerging innovative biotech companies and co-manages private biotech investments, making Invest one of the most active investors in biotech according to PitchBook. Khalil also sits on the board of several biotech companies, including Elevate Bio, Sensorion, Anxeo, Protogenic Therapeutics, and Orthobond. It's great to have you, François and Khalil, with me today. I would love first to hear more about your personal stories. How did you end up in the healthcare world and being incredible leaders and inspiring leaders in the biotech sector?
Well, I can start. First and foremost, thank you for inviting us to be here today. Really a pleasure. And thank you for your many contributions to biopharma, but also to our community. My story is not very different from many of the Lebanese in the diaspora. Born and raised in Lebanon, went to the French Faculté de Médecine, St. Joseph, and then because of the civil war, we left Lebanon back in the early 80s and switched very quickly from clinical medicine to R&D and commercial. And my first mandate was in France. I was involved with the Pasteur vaccine, which is the vaccine business of the Pasteur Institute, and quickly became the head of international there. So it was a terrific experience, very different from being a clinical physician. We then moved to Montreal for family reasons. And then from Montreal, I moved to Kansas City, where I joined the executive team of Marion Merrill Dow back then, North America, in a capacity of head of medical affairs and global health economics and outcomes research. And many, many mergers later, we became Aventis. And at that point, I decided to switch career one more time and joined a venture capital firm, Care Capital, in Princeton, New Jersey, for a couple of years. And from then, went to lead NPS Pharma, which was a very interesting journey in the rare disease space. That took us from a company that was challenged, to say the least, to having two products approved globally in the rare disease space with no other treatments approved for either or. And then my phone rang, and Shire made us an offer that we could not refuse, and the company was acquired back in 2015. Since then, I really divide my time between serving on boards, and I was lucky enough to have 8 exits in the last 8 years, successive and successful exit. But the other part of my life is to give back to Lebanon through either direct activities from our family foundation, Jessra Foundation, or through organizations like ATFL, and I serve also on the board of LAU. Along this journey, I met my friend and partner in crime, Khalil, and the idea of BioLink was born, and I would say the rest is history.
Well, thank you so much, François, for sharing your inspiring story. What about you, Khalil? And then we'll go into BioLink's story.
Well, thank you very much, Naji, for having us. And it's a real pleasure to be on your podcast. And thank you for all your contributions to our industry and to our community as well. I was born in Lebanon, and I graduated in 1987 from AUB. In 1987, the situation was really, bad in Lebanon, and I had no choice but to leave the country. So I came to New York, and I started. I was offered my first job with the Alayan Group, where I started my investment career. And that's kind of where I learned the trade of investing. And in 2003, I wanted to have more of an entrepreneurial career, and I left to join the Invest Group, where I joined to set up its as a partner to set up its public equity activity. And that was, as we all know, though, in 2003 was the end of the sequencing of the human genome and the beginning of the biotech revolution and the birth of precision medicine and all this innovation that we're seeing. And Invest is we're managing the asset of a European family office. So we have the luxury of having permanent capital and investing for the long term. And that's where my journey started, and investing in biotech. So today we're one of the largest investors in the space. I also co-manage our private investment activity, which started in 2014 when we saw a lot of this innovation that we're seeing in the biotech space. And we felt like we needed to be exposed to this innovation. And actually, Moderna was our first investment in 2014. And the rest is history. I met Francois, actually, my partner in crime, through one of the investments that we had. He was the chair of Acceleron, which was a very successful exit. We were one of the largest investors in Acceleron, and that's how we met. And this whole journey started, and subsequently, the idea of BioLink was born, and we're very excited to be part of it, both of us.
Well, thanks, Khalil, for sharing your journey. And it's, as we discussed also several times, it's these journeys of resilience, of grit, and really built on purpose. I know both of you are in this industry not by coincidence, but really to bring innovations for patients, as we all do in the biotech field. So you both mentioned BioLink and how it started and the idea that came to mind. So tell us a little bit more. How did you come up with this idea and how all this journey started?
Well, there is a certain synchronicity, and I cannot say it coincidence. I could say that it was meant to be. As unfortunately we all recall, the port explosion, which triggered quite a bit of pain and suffering in Lebanon. At the same time, it also triggered a lot of goodwill from the diaspora, trying to use every mean to help and give back. And this is where Khalil and I, through our different channels, were committed to help Lebanon through providing medicines and medical supplies and equipments that were badly needed. And we went on a journey to look for donors. And it became very clear that many of the donors that were willing to help came from Lebanese origin, which is not surprising in a way. But what was surprising is the more we were looking, the more we find people like Khalil and I who are in the life science industry and willing to help. And one thing leading to another, Khalil and I were just talking. I vividly remember a Sunday morning where we were on the phone and brainstorming. And the idea came up as to, it came up as a question, is there an organization that could really coalesce all these Lebanese talents in the life science industry? And quickly we came to the conclusion that such an organization kind of, interestingly enough, does not exist. And then we came up with the idea, why don't we create one? And I started dabbling with names. And the name Biosciences Lebanese International Network was born, and the idea of creating BioLink, which is Bioscience Lebanese International Network, was also born. And it was one of those, as I said, serendipity, but also synchronicity, because Khalil and I had kind of the same idea at the same time, and we were talking to each other. So it did not take long for us to say, okay, well, let's do it. And we then incorporated the organization as 501c3 in New York, and we started building it. And we can talk more about our strategy in building it and our objectives, and I will pass on the microphone to Khalil, but really, we had one immediate objective and one dream. The immediate objective was certainly to, and this is why we called it network, is to identify and put all these colleagues together, find a way where we can create a community of executives from Lebanese descent who either work in or with the life science industry. So that was the immediate goal. But Khalil and I had a vision, a dream, which was and is, how can we create a life science ecosystem in Lebanon? And that was, frankly, the give back, contribute back to our country that drove most everything we did. And Khalil, you take it from here.
Well, it's really... it's exactly how Francois described it. It was, we knew we were aligned when I invested in Acceleron. I knew, we had, I always bet on great management teams and great boards. The first thing I do is I look who's the board, and when I saw Francois and his track record, so there was a lot of meeting of the minds even in that investment, and it's exactly how he described it. When the explosion happened, we were both trying to see how we can send some much needed medicine to Lebanon, and through that discovery, we found that there is an incredible network of Lebanese executive in the industry, and it wasn't surprising in hindsight, because we have great academic institutions in Lebanon like AUB and USG, and where Francois graduated. I graduated from AUB, LAU. And so, and because of the war, this talent basically didn't have the opportunity to stay locally and work locally, and they immigrated. So So when Francois and I started talking about BioLink, we both had the same idea that first, what if we put this network together and create a sense of community, and in the future, hopefully one day, we can use this network to help catalyze, or we use the word, put the blueprint of a life science economy in Lebanon. Given we know what's happening in Lebanon today, all the institutions are pretty much, the government has ran out of resources, and there was a lot of corruption, and a lot of help will be needed. And our thought was, what if we can put this, this network together, working in partnership with the academic institution to potentially one day, create new sectors or new industries in our beloved Lebanon. And if the situation is conducive to having creating jobs, and if there is peace one day, then there wouldn't be a need for this talent to immigrate and stay local. And so that's how BioLink was born. And it's incredible how much we find appeal to this proposition, like you, Naji, who, we were so grateful and really honored to have you part of this organization. And as it appealed to you, this proposition, so we're finding it's appealing to a lot of our community who is in this industry.
Yeah, thank you both. And well, the honor is all mine. And as you said, it's those encounters, the common values, and unfortunately, it started with an event. Just for the listeners who don't know, but the Beirut explosions you both talked about was the third biggest explosion in the world that unfortunately accounted for several deaths in Lebanon and more than 7,000 wounded. From there, you had this vision, you had this dream, you started encountering several like us in this industry from Lebanese origins. Tell us a little bit more about how many do you estimate we are, and how are you making sure that you're convincing them to join this noble purpose we have?
Well, that's the million-dollar question about how many we are. What I can tell you, though, is the more you look, the more you find. It has been an amazing journey because, with folks with a name that sounds Lebanese, it's easy because you can detect that they could possibly be from Lebanon. But many of our colleagues have different last names that don't sound Lebanese, or through marriage or Americanization of their last name. You cannot trace them, but yet they're there. And I cannot tell you how many precisely, but what I can tell you is the strategy we adopted was to, first and foremost, once we incorporated BioLink, was to attract a top-notch board. And we were very gratified by how quickly and we were able to build the board, but also we're very gratified by the amazing talent that we were able to attract. Actually, it's not Khalil or I, it is the concept of BioLink. And answering probably your second question, it's pretty also very interesting that when we talk about BioLink, so far I can say with no exception, people listen and are very interested. And the board is playing the role of magnet, if you will, because remember, it's a network. And we want to ensure that our membership is working together. So also it's very important, especially in the context of Lebanon, to remind your listeners that BioLink is apolitical and secular. So we are, and it's by membership only and by invitation only. So it's a very selective approach by design, but yet we're open to. It's a global organization. We have now a chapter in Boston, chapter in New York, chapter in the Bay Area, and I will be heading to London in April to hopefully inaugurate a London chapter. And we start having members in Lebanon. We have board members from Lebanon, Bernard Tannouri. And recently, Dr. Kamal Badr joined us as our first member in Lebanon. So the organization is expanding, and it's attracting various backgrounds. All of them share the same love for Lebanon and their contribution to the life science industry.
What has been your biggest surprise, Khalil, as you started to expand the network and build the objectives we have?
I think our biggest surprise was the breadth of this, the network. And like Francois said, the more we look, the more we find. It's incredible. Like, and in the highest places, in our industry, this we suspected. But, there are a lot of Lebanese organizations like LebNet and other organizations. And there is, of course, also a lot of medical associations, because there are a lot of doctors that graduated from those top-tier academic institutions. And honestly, we thought that there are a lot of us out there, but we didn't realize how many are there, and the quality, not just like quantity, in terms of like in the highest positions and really in the leadership of a lot of, because we wanted to be differentiated from other organizations. We were focused on executives in the industry. So that was, that continued to surprise us. And the other surprise, I think, is even the members that we're attracting that were not born in Lebanon, okay, that are from Lebanese descent, how committed they are and how excited to be part of this organization. I mean, there is really an energy that Francois and I are, we're thrilled to see it. But no matter how far you are, there is this connectivity back to the home country, which has been really incredibly rewarding to both of us, which gives us, it's not easy to build an organization like that, and Francois has been an incredible chair, not surprising. I mean, both of us will not go into anything if we don't want to see, we're not going to see through to its success. But it takes a lot of work to get that, and I'm really thrilled to be Francois' partner in this endeavor. But it's incredible the amount of excitement we sense in the community for this organization, which keeps us going, really.
I can certainly attest to that. I feel the energy, and I'm really grateful you both founded this. I'm excited for what's ahead for BioLink as it keeps growing and bringing the impact of a network and also this longer term vision of life sciences ecosystem in our home country. I'm going to now move to a section that is different, where I'm going to give you a word and I would love your first reaction to it. The first word is leadership. I'll start with you, Francois.
Outcome.
Vision.
The second one is Lebanon.
Opportunities.
Very dear to my heart.
What about BioLink?
Dream.
I would say dream too.
And the last one is spread love in organizations.
We need it today more than ever.
It's an essential recipe for success.
Any final word of wisdom for healthcare leaders around the world?
Well, I certainly don't want to give any lesson to anyone, because leaders across different verticals in different domains are doing absolutely amazing things. Probably what I learned the hard way is two things. One is leaders probably show most leadership during a crisis. This is where your teams, your stakeholders look at you and expect you to lead. So my probably comment or suggestion is, please lead, especially if you don't have a clue where you're going, which happens. But everyone around you expect you to lead. Corollary to this is, in my opinion, the single most important attribute of a leader is personal credibility. Whatever you do, make sure you do not lose that. It's very difficult to build. It takes time. It can be lost in a nanosecond. So, and that is what makes the difference between terrific leaders and leaders.
Look, I couldn't agree more with Francois. I would add also, look, this is a tough business. I mean, so you need to have grit and really, in any situation you get in or any opportunity, you have to be there for the long term, okay? Because what we do is not easy. Biology is difficult. So, always surround yourself, make sure that all the stakeholders are the right stakeholders, whether it's the board, whether it's the investors, and your reputation is everything, right? Because you're the example to the rest of your organization, and that's a prerequisite. As Francois was actually and continues to be a leader and an operator, and he has a very long list of success. I'm an investor, and those are the qualities and those are the characteristics I look for when I invest, and that's why I invested in Acceleron when he was the chair, and another colleague of ours on the board, Habib Dable, who was also the CEO who Francois recruited to Acceleron. But that's the first thing I look for, right? Like integrity, honesty, and track record of success. So, and God knows, how many ups and downs Acceleron went through before the before the ultimate success, which was one of the biggest exits in biotech that I've ever had in my portfolio. So yeah, it's a long-term game, and there are no shortcuts. There's one thing you can bet on in this industry, like it's easy to have shortcuts, right? Because there's a lot of excitement and you can cut the corners in decisions, but everything will come back to bite you. So, doing it the right way, surrounding yourself with the right people, the right capital that enable long-term success is really a prerequisite.
Well, thank you both. These are incredible words of wisdom for all of us leading in the biotech world. It's been really a pleasure and honor to have you both with me today. Thanks again for joining me.
Thank you very much for inviting us, Naji, and great job with your podcast and the influence you're having, a great positive influence you're having. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Naji, and good luck with your new role at Kyverna, and we're all rooting for you.
Thank you. Thanks again, both of you. Thanks for listening to the show. More episodes in partnership with biolink.org can be found on our respective websites. Make sure to subscribe to spreadloveio.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Let's inspire change together and make a positive impact in healthcare, one story at a time.